Well, welcome. I'm here with Carmen Fontanez, the director of the Franciscan Peacemakers Social Enterprise. But Carmen has had a long history with Franciscan Peacemakers. So let's start with your story. Tell us your history with Franciscan Peacemakers.
It's all kind of relates to a calling that I felt. I had this job with this other nonprofit, and I was pretty much doing secretarial work. And the director of that agency had asked me if I wanted to leading this kind of like referral process kind of hotline, but also if anybody came into the center to help them, because we were getting a lot of calls of people kind of looking for things in the community. And I was really afraid, and I was like, I know how to file, I know how to, do this and that. I don't really know about this other thing, and I was really nervous about it. But I prayed about it, and I was like, okay, I'll learn, God help me, and I'll learn as I go. And so when our agency started going under and Steve was looking for people to hire, he didn't take on the secretary over there because, he has his phone with him, he does everything pretty much himself, but he needed somebody who was familiar with resources in the community. So it reminded me, like, wow, if I had not taken that chance and kind of stepped out on faith, like,
wow, yeah.
God, you're going to help me, I probably wouldn't have been at Peacemakers.
Huh.
So, but then too, this was kind of funny or ironic, because I had a prayer for a long time, and it was just, Lord, help me help your people. And I didn't know like in which way or what that would look like, but I just know I wanted God to use me so that I could help make a difference. And so, Peacemakers comes around. I felt like it was God answering my call to help his people. And when Deacon Steve was and I had told Deacon Steve, I was like, thanks, but no thanks. So I kind of met with him just to just to kind of be nice and kind of hear more about what the agency was or what the ministry was about. And as soon as he was telling me that he was going out on the streets, meeting people where they were at and giving them food, it immediately reminded me of the Gospels, Jesus meeting people where they were at, that you're not waiting for people to kind of make up their mind about what they want to do in life, or if, once they stop wanting to use drugs or whatever, that we were meeting them where they were at. And that was so unique to me, and I wanted to be a part of it. So
you said yes.
I said yes, I did. And it's been really great ever since. We had a lot of ups and downs, and with changing, life changing in general. But yeah, it was something I was very connected to and felt a lot of joy doing.
And you became a social worker at what point?
Yeah, so shortly after, I was going to school for human services already, and to me it was kind of broad. I didn't really, I wanted to do something more, or wanted to have more of a specific title or specific work. And the more I was thinking about it and the work I was doing at Peacemakers, I was like, oh, well, social work kind of makes sense. So Steve encouraged me. His wife had gone to Mount Mary, and I loved their philosophy and being a smaller college. And so I went to Mount Mary, and I got my undergrad in social work. And almost when my 5-year window was up, I decided to go back for my master's, and I kind of wanted to pursue a counseling role, although that has changed. But yeah, so I was able to get my master's in social work as well, and it was really from the women that I was helping or talking with, and we had our women's support group, and they really encouraged me to do more. I wanted to do something more, and I thought like furthering my education kind of helped me better understand mental health and addictions. So yeah, so they helped me to go back. And
the women that you were serving were the ones that inspired you to go back. That's beautiful. Yeah. What would you say is the hardest part of this work for you?
It's really walking that journey with someone, because it's not, and I'm not saying anything, if you're helping with giving food, that's what you can do, that's what you do. If you can help with anything else, that's great. But it's kind of like, then you're kind of done with that person until they come back. And with this, it's really walking that journey with them. So it's, when things are going great, hey, it's great you're being the cheerleader. And when things aren't going great, it's like, oh. So bearing that, kind of sharing that pain with them, trying to be supportive, trying to be encouraging, realizing my own strengths and limits, and how I can help, and how to help in a healthy way with someone who's struggling. Because it's that part is very difficult for me, because I feel like, well, I don't want that person, like, I just want to take away the pain, you know, like, oh, like, it's gonna be okay, like, we'll get through this. And but it's really hard, because you share that emotion, you empathize with the person, and you know, you don't want to see them in pain, you don't want to see them struggling. But the main thing was, I just wanted to share with the women that they are loved, they're cared for, people do care, and no matter if you're still out there on the streets or not, that, you know, people care about you, and you know, not to feel any less. So that was the main thing I wanted to, like, show the women that they're accepted.
Yeah, yeah. And so now your role at Peacemakers is a little different, because you're not doing just social work. There's a little element of social work maybe, but yeah, tell us more about what you do right now.
Well, what I do right now is I mainly teach the women that are coming into our program how to make our wonderful bath and body products, and they are wonderful. I love it. But it's also a side of me. I do have a little bit of a creative side, and I'm starting to explore that a little bit more. But it was kind of like a balance of, before, when I was doing more of the social work stuff and we were starting our social enterprise, it was so relaxing, like making soap, once we got the process right. It wasn't at first, because we were trying to make sure we didn't have soap volcanoes and everything. But it was very creative, and relaxing. So I really liked that, you know, kind of seeing the end product, like, hey, like, you made this, and I was proud of it, and it's a good product, and really loving to see that in the women that I help teach, of how to make all the product, and they get to have that same feeling too, like, hey, that I did this, and people like it, and it smells so wonderful. So I learned a lot, but I do like the role that I'm in now, because it's not, there's still a social work element tied to it, but it's also kind of helping to kind of bring out the gifts in the women. Tell
me about your Franciscan journey. Like, what? When did you become Franciscan? Because I think of you as a very Franciscan person. So how did that come about?
Well, I can't even remember the year that I went to Assisi. The first time I went to Italy, Steve was wanting to do this trip, this pilgrimage, and kind of like in the footsteps of Francis and Claire. And at that time I was like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to be going. So, and our agency is, named after St. Francis. So I knew a little bit about him. Like, I mean, you see the bird baths and stuff, and I knew he was like with nature, but didn't really understand his life. And so I thought, well, I better educate myself before I go. So I don't even remember the first book, but it was like I would read a book on Francis's life and Claire's, and I just could not put it down. And so then I pick up another one, and it was kind of like, I was turning into a Franciscan geek. And it's not a bad thing. But I was really, it was kind of like a changing point for me, because up until that point, I always thought saints were just a totally different species, right. They were born perfect, and right. And they just have this calling, and it's like, all, amazing. But his story was very different, and it showed his mistakes and his struggles, and but it was his faith and wanting to do what was right, and wanting to please God and love his people. So it just it touched my spirit so deeply, and I just fell in love with Franciscan spirituality. I loved how inclusive it is, and how respectful of every person, everything God's created. So that always touched me. So when we got to go to Assisi, it was so amazing. And we got a book that talked about certain spots in Assisi that were significant in Francis and Claire's life, and to be there where they were, it was just amazing. So So yeah, so it led me to a journey where I learned of the secular Franciscan order, the third order, and you should have seen me at the computer because I was just Googling. I was like, oh, that would be so cool to try to incorporate this in my life or be a part of, Franciscan, the community. And then I came across the third order, and I was like, what? I don't have to be a nun. I don't have, I can be my layperson,
right,
and join this order and kind of feel that sense of community about being connected with similar people who try to live their lives in a certain way. So,
how do you experience community at Peacemakers?
Well, definitely with all of you, my coworkers. We talk about the same frustrations, the joys, just like in our personal life and work-related stuff. We feel like, I feel like when I talk with my coworkers that, we're all very similar. We all have the same basic needs and wants, and I feel like they really understand me, and I feel like I understand them, where they're coming from. And also getting to work side by side when you're actually doing something together, making something together. I think it's a way to help bond us, and we're all doing it for the same mission and the same purpose. So,
yeah. One thing I love about being here on Lisbon is that sense of the women that are still out there. Some of them walk by, and when the hospitality center is open, obviously they come in. But just them, I think, witnessing the the sisterhood or the family feeling that happens, that's cultivated. Really, I mean, that's a part of what I feel like Peacemakers has done, is cultivated this sense of kinship or family among the staff, and hopefully in the way that we relate to the women that are still out there, the customers at the market. Right, kind of extends, but that real core thing is the community of the staff, is what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, and just having that feeling of acceptance, knowing we all are not perfect, and never will be, but we can make strides to get better, and really, and again, just kind of sharing that message with the women on the streets. Just because you're not in treatment right now, or you're still using, doesn't mean we don't care any less about you. We still care about you. We're still encouraging you. We'll joke around with them.
We see you as a whole person, not just as this addiction or mental health issue or situation that you're in being on the street. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's a really powerful and very Franciscan kind of approach, right? And I think too is what draws me to the Franciscan spirituality, is that one of it's about being in relationship with everybody you come in contact with, and that means seeing them as a whole person and not just as a leper or a poor person, right? But as a whole human being with hopes and dreams and gifts and talents
because nobody ever started off being like, this is what I want to do, with my life. I want to, live this in this type of way, or be, hooked on drugs or anything like that. So it's just, helping people feel kind of normal. Okay, I know I'm not where I want to be, but I'm still worthy of love regardless.
Where is healing needed?
I think not just accepting the differences. I think that we all look different on the outside. We all have different characteristics and personalities. I guess being more inclusive and learn from one another. Just have conversations and, make more friends.
Right.
Make more friends and learn from one another. When I started in this work, I was very fearful. I think it was the fear more of how can I relate to this person?
Yeah.
And I was I think I was 23 or 24 when I started. Yeah. So I felt like my age at that time was playing a role. A lot of the people were older. There were some women who were out there who were younger than me, but for the most part, I felt like, they're gonna listen to me. What kind of life experience do I have, or what can I tell them? But after kind of getting over that fear of how can I relate, it was just don't worry about it. Have a conversation. Just get to know people.
Yeah.
You know, and then, and they have, and I know Deacon Steve says this too, that the women on the streets are like his best teachers. And they've taught me so much about resilience and just the fight that they have in them, not only to survive, but to want something better. And a lot of them don't know how, like, what's the next step that I take? You know, I want to do better, you know, but how, if I go through my fear of, okay, I'm going to make this complete change, well, what are the steps? How do I do this? Who's going to stand with me and support me during these times? So, yeah, to help them feel supported, but also be open to learning from them too, because yeah, they have so much to teach us. I mean, everybody has their own perspectives, and you can learn something from everybody.
Working with Peacemakers from the very beginning till now, how has it changed your outlook on the world? Like, how has it changed your worldview?
I think kind of going through the ups and downs of everything has really taught me to still remain hopeful. That I mean, we can work with somebody for a number of years, and you know, maybe it's been 10 years, but they know that we are a safe place, or people that care about them, so they know that and will come back around, and maybe now's the time. So it's taught me a lot of patience. A lot of patience with people in general, a lot of patience with myself. You know, we're all human, so we all are going to mess up, and but you know, that's okay. Each day is a new day to start over, and you know, we have support. So yeah, it's been a journey.
Totally. And thinking too, the hopefulness piece, even though people, and ourselves included, it takes a long time to heal stuff, or change happens really slowly, to maintain a sense of hopefulness, because, you know, it's possible.
Yeah.
Right? I think one of the things that's really amazing is to witness the transformation that happens for the ladies that come into the program. Like, such dramatic transformation. And it doesn't happen a lot, right? It's few people, and it's a slow process. But when it does, it's worth it. It's all worth it for the
whatever kind of feelings that you were having, like, what am I doing? Am I making a difference? And what we do is it's really making a difference. And I think if a person is feeling cared for and loved, we're making a difference. Yeah. Right. You know, that's just how I feel about it. And if they know that they can come to us, we're a safe place, we've made a difference. Yeah. You know, and patience. It's taught me a lot of patience. You know, when you plant that seed, the plant or the flower does not grow like that, how we want it to. Right. So, and the same thing about having patience with ourselves. To, you know, life is a journey, and we're going to make mistakes, and that's okay as long as you learn from it and grow from it. Then, you know, don't stay stuck. Yeah. Right. Beautiful. All right. What is your favorite? This is going to be hard for you, I bet. Your favorite Franciscan Peacemaker Bath and Body product? Oh, goodness. Oh, well, actually, it's not that hard, because we have a new scent. Yes! We have a new scent called Sacred Amber, and we have it in everything. It's in soap, lotion, candles, bath bombs. I love it in the lotion and the candle. Yeah. I mean, that scent it's so amazing. I hope you're enjoying this conversation with Carmen as much as I enjoyed having it. I think it's really remarkable to hear that the stories of Francis and Claire inspired her so much. Even before she knew them, she was living a very similar story to Francis and Claire, listening to the voice of God, asking the prayer, oh, help me, God, help your people. What a beautiful prayer, very similar to the prayer Francis prayed, which was, who am I, God, and who are you? I just really enjoyed hearing from Carmen the courage and bravery that she has demonstrated with her life by drawing closer to the women that we serve, and then building community with them really is the spirit of the Franciscan Peacemakers. So in honor of Carmen, we will be discounting all of the Sacred Amber products by using the code CARMENPOD, CARMENPOD,
Between now and August 15th, you'll get 20% off all of the new scent Sacred Amber. So we hope you'll check that out. And as always, we'll end this podcast with Carmen talking a bit about her own spiritual practice so that we can learn from and maybe integrate that into our own spiritual practice. And it's interesting too, both what you said you like about Francis and Claire is that they listened to the voice of what they wanted to do, which is kind of true to your story too. Like hearing that voice of saying
sometimes
yes.
I'm too loud to hear it.
Yeah.
So it's, trying to be quiet and feel what's right for me. So I like that.
That's cool. So what keeps you grounded? That was a really good segue into like a spiritual practice that you have that keeps you able to hear that voice.
Lately, I don't do it all the time, but when I'm starting to feel a little stressed, and these times are stressful, what I do is I listen to this very calming, I forget what kind of beats it's called, like binaural. Yeah, listening to that, it's very soothing, and it helps me just to kind of get centered. And sometimes I'll fall asleep with it in my earbuds, just kind of soft. But it's there, and it helps me. I feel so much better in the morning when I wake up after I do that. And just being in nature. I don't do this enough, but going for walks and just being out in the sun when we have our sunny days. I always say I'm like a flower. I need the sun. I need that. That really helps me, and it also helps me feel connected again. Like, I love trees. I will hug a tree. I have, but we're all connected. Whether it's spiders, which I don't like, but from the spider to the tree to you and me to I don't know. Nature just helps me realize, okay, this is like we're all in this together, like we really are. And that's a wrap on episode 2. I loved hearing from Carmen that one of the ways into contemplation for her is through the senses. So using music as a way in. We will link the Binaural Beats playlist on Spotify that she listens to. We'd encourage you to try that this week, or nature, being in the sun, remembering your connection to that which is bigger. That's another important aspect for Carmen. So we encourage you to try that this week. And don't forget, promo code CarmenPod will get you 20% off all of our new Sacred Amber products. So check that out, and we hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for listening. Until next week, peace and all good.